Okay, well, what I did was, and you can do this a number of different ways. You could just bring in a plane and convert it to an editable poly and either soft select the vertices or faces and move them along the z-axis in order to create contours. Or in this case, the book wants you to refer back to your CD, and hopefully you've all loaded the contents of that CD into your folders, your subfolders. And what I had a problem with when I opened it, and just to show you, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to hit my M key, and actually I'm going to go ahead and reset this scene. All right, now I'm going to go File and open the one that they are suggesting that you open, which is mxfol.max, and that should be in your scene files. If it isn't, then you'll have to go to your CD and move it to your scene files. Double click on that. It can't find this, and it could be because of the version of Windows that I have isn't mapped exactly to the right absolute location. And that's the problem you're going to get if the previous people that created this created it in absolute referencing, which all of you should have gone to your customize and changed it to relative under preferences. And I covered that earlier on, and if you have any questions, please ask me about that. Because it is important that you do that for when we start to move files around, or you're going to have this issue. All right, I'm going to just go ahead and click continue, and it gives me some sort of interpretation of that, but it doesn't have a direct connection to that bitmap. So what I'm going to do is hit my M key, and when I hit my M key, I'm going to go here and go to standards as we learned earlier. Standard. And then it gives that to me. I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to click color. Actually, what you can do is just set this to 100. I've done it both ways, just where you can either click that or set it to 100. The way we learned it is to set it to 100. So let's go ahead and stick with that method. Go ahead and select Show Shaded Material in Viewport. And then go to Diffuse, double click on Diffuse, go to Bitmap, and in your directory find your grass JPEG bitmap. There you've got it connected to your diffuse. Okay, you should be ready to go ahead and select this material and apply it to that material, and there you go. Alright, now you can close out of this. Doesn't look like much. Just click your render tool, quick render, and it'll show you here what it looks like. You could go to render frame. Any of these are sort of quick render options. There's also a active shade, which gives you really kind of a nice rendering of it, and that looks acceptable. I mean, that'll work. I probably could scale it down a little bit, and the way you would do that is hit your M key and select your bitmap, double click on your bitmap, and you can set it to, in this case, let's just double it. Double the tiling on that. Okay, and here you can spin it around if it looks too uniform to sort of mix it up a little bit. It might be worth your while to go through some of these and just see what they do. Under apply, cropping, it allows you to go back into the bitmap and select the areas that under view image that are being used to sample. Okay, now we're going to close out of this. Probably can see a little bit of tiling going on, but if we can go ahead and active shade that one more time, it looks a little better. It's not quite as big as it was, but it all depends on the scale that you're going after here. All right, let's start adding some foliage to here. That means you got to be in your geometry, go down here to AEC Extended, click Foliage, and I'm just going to click Scotch Pine. Okay, and I can select anywhere out here and it'll put it anywhere I want it. Okay, and what I would do is go to this Modify panel. If you zoom in on it, in fact, I'm going to hit Alt W so you can see it better. You can play around with these pruning, and the pruning does exactly that. It prunes it up and down, and density gives it more or less, depending on the time of year you're trying to represent or whatever you think looks better. And height, of course, does work with the scale vertically. And you can choose which aspects of that plant you want to show. And this, when you have it and it says when not selected, view canopy mode, well, that saves you on your memory, and I'll show you how. You can always have it set to canopy mode where it's not showing the detail. Of course, if you rendered it, it's going to render the way it should, but it saves you space. Okay. Never. So you can always have it rendering in the viewport the way it should look. And then I would always keep the set to high. You can play around with it if you have more and you just want to save some space. Things are starting to run a little bit slow. You might want to play around with level of detail. Alright, so we're going to try to populate this whole area with trees. So you go here, go to Compound Objects, click Scatter, and then you click your Pick Distribution Object. Again, you have your choice of copy, instance, move, reference. I'm going to just leave it on instance. You know, copy is unique, and it works the same way as we've talked about in the past, with the reference being something that isn't, when under instance, of course, when you change one, it affects the others, and then under reference, you can modify each one of them. It can have their own modifier stack, and move is, of course, move. So here you want to go 10, and I would suggest you probably type in whatever you want, 10, and this perpendicular here, if you keep it perpendicular, it will be perpendicular to the curves, and I'll show you how. I'm going to go ahead and select this, and it's going to, you see how they're all tilted to accommodate the hills? You may want that. You may want them all vertical, and if you want them all vertical, you go ahead and deselect that. You'll see that that sets them all to a vertical. And you might want to just play around with some of these others. But that's really all you need to know about this. It's all the book covers for now. And that'll get you most any desired results that you need. Oh, one other thing. Let me show you just a quick render of that window. Not bad. Not too bad. Not too shabby. As with any of them, this is a quick render, so it's not going to be quite the detail that if you did the full render. Okay?